Look at us wearing sweaters and buns. Welcome back. I thought I would make a video on book launches, which is, I'm sort of surprised that I don't have anything like this on my YouTube channel because my line of work is in fact book launching. I make a living launching people's books. I'm talking about marketing books so that by the time that on the day that they are published, people already know about it and want to buy it. What does it look like? How does it happen? These are all really good questions, really important questions, and they're going to take me a hot minute to answer. The company that I work for, we don't publish books, but we often work alongside publishers so that they're both kind of running parallel to one another, if that makes any sense. So the publisher is responsible for the creation and the production, the printing and the distribution of a book, and my job is essentially to prime their audience. It's basically just creating buzz and a lot of word of mouth around the book to generate that hype so that the day it's published, like I said, everyone already knows about it, wants to buy it, and wants to party with the author because they're super cool now because everyone apparently knows about them. That's my job. Some people will publish a book just to publish a book, and that's as far as it goes for them, and that's great. The clients that I typically work with, which by the way, every book you see on this back wall is a book that my company published. And in fact, these books on the lower ring were authors that I worked with. And maybe we'll even do a little show and tell at the end, who really knows. So something that the clients I work with will use the book as a way to generate more clients for their business, because a lot of them are business owners that are very big and influential in their industry, and they will use a book as a marketing tool to generate more leads, convert those leads, and get more qualified buyers. And this is a lot of technical terms that I'm throwing out. I didn't even know what any of that meant until I started working as a book launcher a year ago. Basically, if I'm a business owner and I want to attract in more customers, I want to have more authority, I want to have more social proof, I want to just kind of raise the bar for myself and my company a little bit, a book launch would be a great way to do that. So let's say I have a successful book launch and all goes really well. I've grown my platform, I've got people buying the book, I've reached bestseller, maybe even #1 bestseller. Then what? That is where the scaling piece comes in. Scaling is essentially what happens after the happily ever after. Scaling can look like booking more speaking opportunities to elevate your authority in a particular industry and or your brand, impacting more people on a deeper and wider level, increasing your business services or products to a higher price point, offering more exclusive or executive coaching services. It's basically an excuse for you to expand what already exists or to put something new in motion without it seeming entirely out of the blue. So in very, very simple terms, I'm going to tell you that a book launch is a birthday party for your book, and scaling are all the presents that you get with it. So the next question, I guess, would be, do I really need a book launch? I'm never going to tell you no. It's a matter of how much do you want to invest in yourself and how much value are you placing on what your book can do for you. I think those two things are really what can help answer that question for yourself. Because my line of work is book launching, I'm going to promote that stuff all day long because I really believe in the magic of it. I see it every day. I mean, these books are proof of that. I would say at the very least, it's good to prime your audience so that they're aware of who you are, what your book is, and ultimately what your message is, what you stand for, what you're advocating for, what you represent. It could be literally anything. Hold on, show and tell, hold on a minute. Ignore my outfit, okay? I work from home. What you choose to represent can look like anything from going alcohol-free, inclusive leadership, investing with The Lifestyle Investor by Justin Donald, what it takes to write a killer book, a guide specifically for parents on what it looks like to help launch their new grad into a successful career, working with moms to help raise entrepreneurial daughters. It can be as niche or as broad as you want. It can literally be whatever you want. How long are book launches? This is also a good question, and it can vary. I would say that the smallest timeline you can have without sacrificing quality would be about 4 months. And maybe that's more or less than what you originally thought if you're not super familiar with book launches or if you're looking into one for yourself. And it can be as long as 12 to 14 to 16 months. And you have even more flexibility and customization when you're talking about hybrid publishing and especially with self-publishing. I think a sweet spot personally is about 6 months to 8 months because you get enough of that runway. If you're doing a pre-order campaign, which is a pretty big question when it comes to new authors of, oh, don't I need to like do pre-orders and stuff? Not necessarily, depending on how short your timeline is. If you have an 8, 12, 14, 16 month launch, yeah, it definitely wouldn't hurt. It'll definitely help boost your rankings if you're wanting to like go for a bigger bestseller status like Wall Street Journal or New York Times or something. There's a whole strategy to both of those things. You can also buy into them as well. Not many people know that. This is another good question. Will a launch make me a best-selling author? Not necessarily, because you do have to put in the work, but it definitely sets you up for success to be considered a best-selling author. And at the same time, I do want to say that it's up to you to determine what success personally looks like to you. And there's always going to be that battle between what success should look like versus what it really does look like for you. Really, it's a matter of constructing intentional relationships with those people that you're connected with in your life. It could be family, friends, bosses, colleagues. People want to represent you if they see that you're authentic and you're intentional and that you're not BSing anyone. They want to see that you're real. It's so easy to make something look exciting when it's really not. And I think if people see that you're genuine and that you're really authentic with who you are, what you're wanting to do, and doing that through your book, people will want to spread that message with you. So, that was a lot of information, I know. So if there's any advice or a starting point that I can give you, if you're someone who's looking at launching your own book, it would be to figure out who the individual person is within your audience, or if you don't have an audience, the one person that you want to attract. I want you to identify who that is, like down to the details. You know, like when you were a kid and you would have imaginary friends and like they had a name and like they had a face, or at least mine did. I want you to come up with your imaginary person that you want to represent, that you want to talk to, that you want to market to, that you want to write a book for, whatever. Write everything down. What are they thinking when they're up at night? What does their morning routine look like? What's like the reoccurring thought that always comes back to them that they try to distract themselves from? Do they have a family? Do they work a conventional 9 to 5? What do they want? And if that person ends up being you, which is the case for me, then that's fine too. That's totally allowed. I wasn't even sure if that was like I thought that an avatar was supposed to be someone who was separate from me, but I think of my avatar as like a younger sister version of myself, and she's just like a couple steps behind or a couple years behind, and I'm like catching her up to where I am and where I want to be right now. That's how I think about it. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. I literally geek out of my mind talking about this stuff. So if you have things, topics, questions that you want me to dive into, explore, answer, take a look at, feel free to let me know. That's all I got. Signing off for today. Be on the lookout for the next video, and I'll catch you next time.